Hello gentlemen, welcome to a tips and tricks video for War of the Tanks. I'm going to be giving you my best thoughts on how you can do little things to improve your gameplay, get better at the game and improve your general knowledge at War of the Tanks using the experience of my 20,000 something games. We're going to look at kind of beginner to intermediate level, skill level stuff, so let's get started. So, starting with things that you can do before you even get into the game, let's look at our settings. One thing you want to do, make sure you have enabled the additional zoom modes. You don't have to use them, but it's useful to get used to them just so that if you ever do want to use them in particular types of vehicles, for instance, they're there and you're used to operating your zoom mode with them enabled. Also, make sure you enable your expanded minimap features if you're not using a mod that does them for you, as well as ticking all these boxes to show the additional information on the minimap. Make sure that you've got battle recording ticked or enabled for all so that you can go to your replay folder and look at your previously played games to see what you did wrong, to see what happened and to learn for the future. Do make sure to enable both the encounter and the assault game modes. They may be difficult to get used to if you've never played them before, if you're only used to the standard game mode, but they will only increase your versatility as a player, increasing the amount of situations that you can be thrust into in gameplay. If you can learn how to react to these different situations, that is only going to increase your skill level as a player, and these game modes are definitely worth playing from a new perspective that they can bring you on the gameplay. It's my recommendation that you disable the dynamic camera so that your view is not jumping about when you fire. That can be very, very distracting. Also, disable the optics effect in sniper mode. Anything that's going to distract you from your target is not something you want. And also, horizontal stabilization is very helpful within sniper mode to stabilize your aim as well. You should enable dynamic FOV, because what that will do is it will enable your view, how far you can see behind and in front of your tank, to change depending on what you're doing in the game, which is very helpful. With your detailed graphics settings, you want to make sure that you have extra effects in sniper mode turned off. You don't want any smoke or sparks distracting you from the shot that you're trying to make. This game can look beautiful, and it should outside of sniper mode, but when you go in, the only thing that you're focusing on is the target within your crosshairs, so disable that. Also, grass in sniper mode, turn this off, it's very distracting. You can also use the foliage transparency option. This can allow easier vision when foliage is perhaps blocking the camera, so turn that off as well. Make sure that you go at some point when you have time and fine-tune your sensitivity, especially your sniper aim. If there's a light tank outflanking you, you probably shouldn't be in sniper mode to begin with, but make sure you're comfortable with how quickly you can move the mouse to readjust your aim circle, because it is different for everyone, and it's worth you going in and just having a look at these to see where you feel most comfortable. Your vehicle markers are also very important. Myself as a player, I do not like to lose out on any information. So this is what I recommend. Make sure on the enemy team you have all of these ticked. Put it to HP left so that you know the alpha damage of your gun and how likely you are to kill your opponent. Damage received, make sure these are all ticked. On our team, I only disable the health indicator to give a bit of distinction between my team and the enemy team. Doesn't really matter, it's personal preference. But make sure you have as much information displayed from the enemy tanks to you as possible, because it can only help you. One thing that's easy to miss is the difference between skills and perks, as they're both stored under the same window that says skills. But here you've got skills and perks, and the difference between the two is that perks only come into effect once they are at 100% skill level. For example, BIA here, it has to be at 100% before it will do anything for you. So you should train skills and then retrain with the method that I'm going to show you later if you don't want to spend any gold on it, to then get them working as perks once they're at 100%, but there is a distinction, and you should definitely make sure to look at whether it says skill or perk at the bottom in the description. It is possible to retrain your crew to 100% on the next tank if you have a bit of XP on a skill. What I mean by that is, if I wanted to retrain this driver, well, you can do this for the whole crew, if I wanted to retrain this driver on the Churchill 7 to the BP going up a tier, then I would go into the personal file, I would go to the skills, well, I wouldn't need to, I would reset. Let's say I wanted to spend nothing, I would reset for 3 and that would give me this marker here, so I got now a 68% skill. Now I can send this guy to the barracks, I can go to my brand new Black Prince, I can find him. This is him, isn't? No, where is he? Where is he? Oh, here he is. Yep, there we go. Yep, that's him with the skill at 68%. Now, he's a 75% crew member, but if I go to retrain him to the current vehicle, and now I'm going to retrain him to 80%. But watch this, he's going to go back up to 100 because oh, 96, it wasn't quite enough. But he used the skill, the XP that was to go into the skill, back onto his major qualification. Which means if you have a bit of skill level, and let's say you use 20,000 to train to 97% or whatever, then you can get 100% on the main qualification, and you don't have to go through the bother in a brand new tank of playing with a 75% crew. One thing also that's very important, a lot of people overlook, I know I did, do not rush to tier 10. Tier 10 can be awesome, and there's some very powerful and badass tanks up at those tiers, but it's not for you when you're a beginner player, when you're new at the game. I recommend you spend a lot of time, explore the low tiers, explore around tier 5, see what kind of gameplay suits you more. Are you a TD player, are you a heavy or a medium? Explore who you are as a player and how you like to play, and get some experience at the game, because if you rush up to tier 10, you're going to be one of those people who you see in the YouTube videos camping at the back of the map and not doing anything for their team, and that's probably not going to be an enjoyable place to be. Do not rush up to tier 10, it's not good for you. Don't play arty. Now, if you've been playing this game for a little while and you find yourself short on money, I'd recommend you go to your armory, go to the depot, and here you can find all the modules, this is when you make the most amount of money, that you're not currently using on your vehicles, which you can then go ahead and sell to make you a decent amount of money. Got one for 13,000, 26,000, 26,000, 108, 69,000. If I wanted to, I could sell all of these probably. If you haven't done it for a while, you'll make close to 1 million credits, somewhere around there, just by selling what you still got in your depot, so make sure you look to see if you can do that. One thing that I look for in a good player is a ratio between base capture points and base defense points. It really speaks to how good you are as a player and how enthusiastic you are at your gameplay if you have more base defense points than base cap points, because what that signals to a player like me is that actually you don't, when given the opportunity, just sit on your ass in the cat waiting for the game to end so you can move on. You can be found putting another shot into the enemy, chasing down the last remaining kill, trying to get a bit more XP and finish off the game in style. You really should aspire to have more base defense points than base cap points. This may seem obvious to some of us, but make sure you activate these missions, even if you're not intent on doing them. It's worth having them on in the background, just in case you have an amazing game and you suddenly get one. Not only are they a great way to make money, but later on in the missions you can get some pretty epic rewards if you keep doing them. If you are ever only going to buy one premium tank for making money, make it the SCM-50C. It's a beautiful tank that gets premium matchmaking when it doesn't really require it. It's got the penetration to go through its opponents without requiring it to fire premium, and therefore you lose money. It's one of the best money-making tanks in the game for a good player. And that's the thing, this is a tank that will allow you to keep enjoying as you evolve your skill as a player, whereas tanks like the IS-6 and the 112 are limited in what they can do due to their penetration and their speed. As you become a better and better player, you want more out of the vehicle, whereas the 50G can adapt to your needs and change with your gameplay. It's a very versatile tank, and one that, although you may find it very hard to get used to at the start, the better you get at the game, the more rewarding you'll find this tank. Do not look at your WNA. After you play, it's very easy to just hop over to Nude Meter, look up your stats and see how you did for the day, but it's very easy to get into a bad mindset about the game through doing that and value your stats over actually enjoying the game. If you want a decent indication of how good you are at the game, do not use WNA. It's a very shallow interpretation of skill, only relying on damage and spotting damage, which is a really poor way to analyse how well you're doing at the game. It doesn't take into account what you did did for your team linearly, only the damage that you physically put out into the enemy team. A more realistic idea of how good you're doing is to look at where you are placed in the team lists at the end of the game. If you're consistently in top 3 on your team, then you can say, okay, I'm doing very, very well given the teams that I had. WN8 does not take into account the fact that you've just got unlucky with the matchmaker, the fact that you just had bad teams, the fact that you forgot to load ammo. It just compares you to the vast majority of other people, and that's a very harsh way of looking at things. So make sure you're judging yourself on better standards than WN8. Average XP is a half decent one, and just uphold yourselves to your own standards as a player, not the standards of other people. Otherwise you'll get very bent out of shape about your stats, and you'll most likely become one of those stat whores, which you never want to be. Whenever you're playing World of Tanks, it's recommendable to have tanks.gg open in the background. This is a site that has basically all the information about all the tanks you're going to need, and it goes into much more detail than World of Tanks, and it's also easier to working around and access, I would say. Also gets you the 3D armor model of various, well, pretty much all the vehicles, so it makes it very easy to see what you're doing. And my recommendation to you, if you're in a game and you see something that's strange, that's odd, that doesn't look like, that you don't know about, then minimize World of Tanks, come to tanks.gg and find out. Feed your curiosity. Don't stifle your curiosity in World of Tanks. If you don't know something, find out. Even if you forget it later, if you've known it at some point, it'll be in there, and you're going to be able to call upon it when you need it, and that is a great skill for any player to have. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. Do join me on Twitch. I'm happy to answer questions and quite often play your tank picks. If you got one that you're struggling with or one that you just really enjoy, then shout out on Twitch chat. Most likely I'll play it for you. I'll leave a link to that in the description. Your second most important weapon on the battlefield is knowledge of what's going on around you. That means you need your minimap. So use the plus icon to make it as big as you feel comfortable with. That way the information there is more prominent and easily accessible, and you can use it in your gameplay that much more easily. Make sure when you're playing World of Tanks, when you're trying to learn this game, you make it habitual. You need to get into a habit of using that map to analyze the situation around you, so that you can use that information, well, you can put it to good use in your gameplay. And the best way to do that is basically to get into a habit. You need to be thinking, okay, engagement map, engagement map. So you're going to be looking at it all the time. Whenever you have a free moment, whenever you're not making an engagement, then cast a glance at your map. Look at what's going on. Look to see if there's a T-37 at G1. Try and find out more information about what's going on, because it's so important to how your gameplay will unfold. And make that a habit. Shoot, maneuver, map. Shoot, maneuver, map. God damn, that guy's dead. This tank is one of the best I can think of to demonstrate this. One of the best things I've found that gives me an edge over my opponents is using the R and F functions to maneuver my tank. W and S make your tank go forward and they bloom your gun, especially so in something like a T-49. Many other guns and many heavy tanks as well. What the R function does is it allows you to move forward steadily and keep your gun stabilized, so that you can move your tank into the position that it needs to be in to make a shot, while still keeping your gun stabilized and able to hit the target. It's an incredibly, it's an amazing way of moving yourself into a position without needing to go through that long aim time that you might have in your heavies. Oh my god! That happened. So yeah, right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to wave my gun around and I'm going to bloom it. Let's say there's a target up on the hill that I want to aim at. And how I would go about doing that, I'm just going to dodge RT. There we are. So I would aim at the target right now. Aim at the target, aim at the target. There goes that 3.6 second aim time settling down. Still aiming, still aiming. Right, I'm aimed. Now I tap R. Now I can keep being aimed whilst exposing myself, whilst coming up, whilst aiming at the target, and then I get a shot and I fire, and I'm accurate, and I can fall back. and I put the shot out accurately whilst exposing myself for a fraction of the time because I aim while I'm in cover. One of the best tactics I've found of outplaying your opponents and just getting an edge over most of the competition. Gentlemen, I really do hope you found this video helpful. Do let me know, and hey, comment if you've got anything that you think I missed, any tips and tricks that you found. Let's try and help each other out in the comments, and yeah. Thanks for watching, everyone, and farewell.
I know who put that one in! Steve, you son of a bitch!
Even if they do say bitches!
Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! Oh me!